Chapter 1. The Appetizer. The air in the West Hills mansion was thick enough to bottle. Clore blend of Dom Perignon, overpriced floral arrangements, and the specific brand of desperation unique to a bachelorette party on the verge of fizzling out. From my station behind the polished mahogany Papo bar, I had a perfect vantage point of the zoo. 20 women in varying shades of pink, their bride tribe sashes already askew, their laughter a little too loud to be genuine. This was my world, a via on the fringes of wealth, pouring their drinks, listening to their secrets, and counting the minutes until I could trade this sterile opulence for the roar of my motorcycle on the open road. My uniform was crisp, black, and professional. It stopped at my right shoulder, giving way to a riot of ink that snaked down my arm, a swirling chaos of peonies, skulls, and cryptic symbols that was the complete antithesis of this place. It was my armor and my tell. People saw the tattoos and assumed I was wild, that I had stories. They weren't wrong, but the stories weren't for them. My cheat code, the skill that paid my rent, was an uncanny ability to read a room's hidden desires. Tonight, the desire was simple, a desperate need for something, anything to happen. The main event, two strippers dressed as firefighters, had been a spectacular failure. They were less Magic Mike and more tragic mishap, clumsy and out of sync, their spray tings glowing an unnatural orange under the recessed lighting. The polite applause died quickly, leaving a vacuum of awkward silence. That's when she made her move. Madison, the maid of honor. I clocked her the moment I arrived, while the others were a flock of twittering birds. Madison was a panther. A severe, perfect black bod framed a face of sharp angles and predatory confidence. Her body was a testament to discipline and control, poured into a black dress that cost more than my bike all night, she'd been observing. The faint smirk on her lips, her loyalty to the bride a strange, possessive thing. She glided toward the bar, her movements liquid and deliberate. The sea of pink parted for her as if by instinct. "Another disaster," she said, her voice a low purr that cut through the chatter. She didn't ask for a drink, she made a declaration. Her dark eyes weren't looking at the top-shelf liquor, they were sweeping over me, from my tied-back hair down to the intricate lines of ink on my arm. It wasn't a casual glance, it was an appraisal. "The entertainment can be a gamble," I replied, my voice neutral as I polished a clean glass. Professionalism was my shield. The official entertainment, yes. A perfectly manicured finger taps the bar top. I feel like my best friend deserves a better send-off than that. Her gaze flickered to the bride, Melissa. Melissa was the eye of the storm. Classic girl next door pretty, with soft blonde hair and wide, terrified eyes. The bride sash looked less like a celebration and more like a yoke. She was caught between the thrill of her impending wedding and the sheer force of Madison's personality, a puppet dancing on strings she didn't even see. "I'm sure she's having a wonderful time," I lied. Madison laughed, a short, sharp sound devoid of humor. "Don't bullshit, a bullshitter, bartender." She leaned closer, the scent of her expensive perfume, something dark and spicy enveloping me. "I have a proposition. The host is paying you well. I assume I'd like to pay you better for some overtime." Desire, obstacle. My desire was the fat stack of cash that would let me take next month off. The obstacle was my hard and fast rule. Never get involved. The bar was a line you didn't cross, but Madison wasn't asking, she was daring. And beneath my practiced cynicism, a flicker of my old weakness sparked to life, a craving for the beautiful and the dangerous. "What kind of overtime?" I asked, my voice betraying nothing. "The fun kind," she whispered, her eyes glittering with mischief. "Upstairs, away from the cheap theatrics." It was a stupid, reckless idea, but the boredom of my carefully constructed life was a cage, and Madison was holding the key. The promise of chaos, and a tip that was likely more than my entire night's pay, was too potent to ignore. "5 minutes," I said, my heart starting to pound a harder, faster rhythm. She gave me a slow, triumphant smile. "I'll be waiting." A few minutes later, after finding a plausible excuse to leave the bar, I found her on the second-floor landing. The muffled pulse of the party below felt a world away. She led me not to the master suite, but to a smaller, decadent study, all leather and dark wood, She locked the door behind us. I hate being disappointed, she said, turning to face me. The predatory aura was amplified in the enclosed space. She retrieved a small, cheek vial from her clutch and tapped a fine white line onto the back of her hand. A little party favor to get us started. My rule book was already in flames. Asterisk, what the hell? Asterisk, I leaned forward, my nose hovering over her skin, and inhaled sharply. The chemical burn was instant, a jolt of pure energy that sharpened the edges of the room and made the blood sing in my veins. My carefully constructed boredom evaporated. Madison did the same, her eyes never leaving mine. The drug hit her like a switch, a dark energy flaring in her pupils. Much better, she breathed. She didn't waste a second. Before I could process the rush, she closed the distance between us. One hand tangled in my hair, pulling my head back, while the other traced a line of my jaw. Her touch was electric, demanding. "You've been watching me all night," she murmured, her voice husky. "Don't think I didn't notice." "It's my job to watch," I managed, my breath catching in my throat. "Is this part of the job?" And then her mouth was on mine. It wasn't a kiss. It was a conquest. Hot and hard and full of teeth. It tasted of champagne and something wilder. Something I couldn't name. My professional composure shattered into a million pieces. My hands came up, intending to push her away, but instead they gripped her waist, pulling her closer. It was pure, selfish instinct, a response to a hunger I hadn't realized I was starving for. She bit my lower lip, drawing a gasp from me, and used the opportunity to deepen the kiss, her tongue tangling with mine. The world narrowed to this one singular, explosive moment. A soft creak from the hallway broke the spell. We pulled apart, breathing heavily. The doorknob rattled gently. "Maddie?" A small voice called from the other side. "Everyone's asking where you are." It was Melissa, the bride. A wicked, brilliant smile spread across Madison's face. She looked from the door to me, a plan forming in her eyes so fast it was dazzling. The last of her inhibitions had been chemically incinerated. She wiped a smear of my lipstick from her mouth with her thumb. Without a word, she strode to the door and unlocked it. Melissa stood there, looking lost and anxious. Her wide eyes took in the scene, me flushed and breathless. Madison, looking like a wolf who just cornered her prey. A blush crept up Melissa's neck, a fascinating mix of shock, embarrassment, and something else I recognized instantly, curiosity. Madison didn't give her time to think or to run. She grabbed Melissa's wrist with one hand. With the other, she hooked her arm through mine, her grip like steel. A jolt went through me, a current connecting the three of us. They were right to ask. Madison purred, her voice a low, thrilling promise as she pulled us both past the threshold of a cavernous guest bedroom down the hall. "The appetizer is over." She kicked the heavy door shut behind us, and I heard the decisive, final click of the lock. "Now the real party can begin."